Hello, this is session 4-3, Health, Agriculture, and Bible Lessons. This is another session on the special lessons. And we're going to go through the slideshow about the special lessons. I'm going to share the screen. So the Bible verse for this session is Jeremiah 31:3. The Lord hath appeared of old unto me, saying, Yea, I have loved thee with an everlasting love. Therefore, with loving kindness have I drawn thee. Father, we thank you so much for your loving kindness, for your mercy and grace. We thank you for your love, the love that you show to us, the love that was demonstrated, the love that came alive in Jesus, who died for us, and who lives again, who makes intercession for us. We're just so very grateful. We cannot praise you enough or thank you enough for all your blessings. Help us to learn, help us to grow, help us to be able to tell many, many people around the world about your love and about the salvation that you offer, the forgiveness for sins. I pray in Jesus' name, amen. So we're going to talk more about special lessons. And in book 2, we have a couple of regular lessons, and then we have the math and lesson and the lesson on teaching a student how to write a letter. And then we have some health and agriculture lessons. And this is just the first page of one of the lessons. This shows fruits and vegetables. It's talking about food that's good for you. So there are in lessons 35 through 46 in the usual primer in book 2, there are 9 health lessons and 3 agriculture lessons. They cover the basic needs of the area and introduce them to vocabulary so they can read other relevant material. And we do have a lot of post-primer materials on different subjects. The writers might opt to include more health and agriculture lessons. They might have some special lessons they want to share about a situation in your country. So here are the titles for the health and agriculture lessons, lessons about health, and then lessons about food, making compost, using compost. So that's about gardening or agriculture. And that's just the first page that shows the pictures. You can see they're talking about gardening and about making compost. And we have a lot of illustrations that we could share with you, illustrations of health and agriculture. There'll be a lot more new words in these type of lessons than in previous lessons, because it's brand new vocabulary. Maybe at least these words have not been used in the primer before. Words like gardening, pulling weeds, using manure, using compost, building a toilet, and digging a hole. So there's going to be lots of words that we have not used before. So this is very important. You do not need to repeat the picture words and the other new words that are found in the word boxes. You do not need to repeat them at the bottom of the 2 pages. And sometimes people repeat the picture word in one of the new word boxes, but you do not need to repeat any of the picture words or the other new words in the text boxes at the bottom of the 2 pages of the lesson, because there's going to be a lot more new words. That's just normal. So we have some pictures and many, many more we'll be glad to share with you. Okay, the simplified Bible stories in a normal primer that has 82 lessons. The Bible stories would be found after the health and agriculture lessons, and there would be lessons 47 through 82. And this is the left hand side of the lesson. It says page 46, lesson 52. This is the lesson on Jesus being baptized, John the Baptist. And we just talk about this, the left-hand page, and then we'll show the right-hand page. So that in the Bible stories, there will be one picture, usually one picture, and two picture words, and they tell something that's happening in the picture or something about the story. Just tell something that's in the story. And you'll notice there are only two columns in the picture words. That's because we don't want to bore the student by repeating common syllables over and over again too many times. These might not be common, but we don't need to repeat them too many times. And also, the boxes are different. The layout of the boxes is a lot different than in prior lessons. And these differences might be found in the health and agriculture lesson also. It's just, you just need to make the decision how you want to use the word boxes. So boxes 1, 2, 3, and 4 are lined up this way, and they're different from previous lessons. Then we have a new type of box. Box 5 is new here. On the left side are words, and on the right side of this box are syllables that are drawn out of these words. So these words in this box 5, the box of 10, these words need to have more than one syllable. If you have a word with only one syllable, you cannot put it in box 5. You can put it down at the bottom of the page. And see, these words at the bottom of the page are only one syllable. And these words are always more than one syllable, because we have to have one syllable to draw out and put over here on the right side. That just is more teaching for the student, just a different way of teaching, and that will be really interesting for him. So the simplified Bible stories, these are simplified Bible stories, and they have been gone over by experts in the language and in the Bible in your country, and maybe they've been made simpler so that we won't have so many new words. There will be more new words than in other lessons. So this is the right-hand page. Let's go over what's in the right-hand page and how things are lined up. This looks really beautiful. The parts of the story page, the right-hand page. There's a title to the story. And usually there's titles on the health and agriculture lesson also. You can center this. It would be best to be centered. Avoid using bold or underlining, because that could just smear or the letters could run together. We try to avoid using bold. And you could use a larger font size, or you could use all caps if there's room across the page for that. And there should be extra space, extra line spacing, or an extra hitting enter an extra time in between different sections on this right-hand page. This is an extra line space, or extra hitting enter an extra time. We hit enter an extra time here. We hit enter an extra time here, just to leave spaces between the different parts. Okay, in the story, it should be left aligned, lined on the left. It doesn't need to be justified. That means to have the right edge to be all lined up too. It doesn't need to be, because that just takes up more room. And it can be indented, or if the story is shorter, you could put extra line space between the paragraphs. But it's best to just try to indent them first, and that just shows the break between the paragraphs. In your proofreading of the story, you need to check the punctuation, the beginning and ending quotation marks. You can change your line spacing if you need it. And if the story is really long, we can make this space here much smaller. You can do line spacing and make it very small. And the line spacing here and here also. Or since this sentence here, this word on this line is just very small, you could take out that extra line spacing completely to make more room for the story. Okay, the Bible reference, if it's more than one reference, you could tab it over. But if it's just one reference, or if you put everything on one line, it should be right aligned. It should be aligned up on the right. And that's just to make sure people know that's not part of the story. That's the Bible reference. So have extra space before and after the Bible reference if there's room. And here are questions. We have questions with all the Bible stories. These should be left aligned. You can see there's a hanging indent. We'll talk more about that in a later lesson. Hanging indent and left aligned. And I suggest you not put the word questions here. A lot of people like to put questions. These are the questions. But that just takes up space. It's not needed. The teacher should know. In the teaching instructions, they should know that they're to read the questions to the student and see if the student understands the story. So we don't really need the word questions here. It takes up room. So the simplified Bible stories, we have lots of beautiful pictures for Old Testament stories and New Testament stories in different cultures. And we'll be glad to share illustrations with you. We could send you some, or we could share our Google Photos with you. It says down here, it says, and many more. Okay, that's all of the slideshow. I want to close that down and go to a PDF. And I want to go over again the things that we've been teaching. So this is book 2. And the first couple of lessons are just normal. They just look like the lessons in Primer 1. So then we have a mathematics lesson, arithmetic. We have a letter lesson teaching how to write a letter and draw in an envelope, etc. And then we start some health and agriculture lessons. We have usually 9 health stories and 3 agriculture stories. And you could always add more. And the boxes look quite the same. There's a title to the story, Clean Water. This is Nigerian Pidgin. So some of it I can read a little bit. And you'll notice that they did put the picture words in the 1 and 2, word box 1 and 2. And these other new words, you do not need to copy them and put them in the lists at the bottom, in the text boxes at the bottom of the 2 pages. That's because there are more words than in the previous lessons, more new words. So here's some more health lessons. It's a lesson on AIDS, that's really important. And we start some agriculture lessons. We have rainy seasons and we have dry seasons, and talking about your gardening in the rainy season and in your dry season. And this is about compost, making compost, how you can use manure in your garden to help to grow things, more items you could use their manure. So that's really, really an interesting lesson. And we do have a break here. We have some instructions on how to teach the Bible stories, the Bible story lessons, because the teaching is a little bit different. But when we get a new teaching guide finished, this might be moved to a different place. And here we have a closed syllable chart, syllables that end with the same consonant. And that's very interesting. That would be very helpful for the student to teach them more syllables, more practice in reading syllables. Let's go to the Bible stories. And you'll see, I'm just going to go over again the difference on the left-hand page, the difference on the right-hand page, the difference from the Bible story lessons and from the previous lessons, especially lessons in book 1. Okay, we only need 2 columns for the picture words and the syllables. Don't want to bore the student with too much repetition and just bringing down a syllable. And maybe we're teaching something new, a new letter combination in that lesson. That would be helpful. And you'll notice here we have different new words in the word boxes. We don't need to put the picture words in the word boxes. And this is the different lineup of the word boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4. In box 5 is quite different. Remember, we have words in box 5 on the left side, and then a syllable from that word on the right side. Now, they did put a 1-syllable word in here, but that's okay. It's not what we would normally want them to do, but I think they're teaching the capital I, perhaps. And on the right-hand side, we have a title to the story. We have the story. It's indented. They didn't have room to put line spacing between the paragraphs, but they put extra line spacing after the title. There's extra line spacing in a couple of places here. They put the Bible reference on the right. They aligned it on the right, put some space. They have some questions. They lined the spaces up, the questions up on the left. And that's the way we've been teaching. So those are things for you to remember the changes on the left-hand page, the changes in the Bible story page. I'm going to close this down. I'm going to stop sharing. I don't think I need to teach anything else. I'm looking at my instructions. But that was great, and we will teach more in the next session. I hope you enjoyed this. Do your assignment and practice. If there's things to practice, just practice as much as you can. And this all for today. Bye-bye.